The chamber of the great alien council was filled with light and voices. Hundreds of species sat in their tall chairs, their eyes fixed on the main display at the center of the hall. A dark blue sphere appeared in the projection. Earth. The council had gathered because of a new signal, a human war signal. It was not a request for peace. It was not a warning. It was a declaration. Humanity had spoken one message into the void of space, a message repeated on every channel. We are coming. Panic spread among the gathered empires. These were not weak nations. They ruled star clusters, bent systems to their will, and commanded fleets of thousands. Yet the word humanity brought a heavy silence. For years, the younger races had watched humans expand quietly across their solar system, colonizing their moon and Mars, building massive structures in orbit. At first, the other empires had ignored them, thinking Earth too small, too late to matter in the great games of the galaxy. But then scouts began to vanish. Outposts near human space stopped reporting. Even advanced sensor buoys broke without reason. The first minute of the meeting began with laughter from a few council members. Do they truly believe they can face us? A lizard-skinned lord hissed. They know we have fleets that cover the skies. What can they send? A handful of crude frigates? Another councillor, with crystal skin that glowed faintly, shook her head. No, the message is too bold. They must have built something hidden. The council demanded the latest scans of Earth. Data filled the chamber. From orbit, thousands of human structures glimmered. Shipyards floated like metal cities. Weapons platforms formed rings. The readings were heavy, but the council expected to see an entire armada launching. They expected hundreds of warships lifting from the blue planet. Instead, the scanners showed only one. The chamber erupted in confusion. One vessel, a massive insectoid warlord, clicked. This must be a deception. The image grew sharper. A ship the size of a continent rose from Earth's orbit. Its hull was black, swallowing light. Along its side, glowing lines pulsed like veins. It was marked with bold white letters. UNS Vanguard. Whispers turned into arguments. Some claimed humanity had gone mad. Others thought it was a bait strategy, hiding the true fleet elsewhere. But deep down, fear crawled through the room. The council's chief speaker, a towering being with silver horns, stood. His voice echoed across the chamber. The humans insult us. They dare to send one warship against the strength of the galaxy. Let us show them their mistake. We will break their ship, scatter their soldiers, and make Earth kneel. The council roared in agreement, but not all shared the confidence. A few councillors remained silent. Their eyes stayed on the projection, watching the single ship drift into the stars. It moved with calm precision, no rush, no fear, as if the vessel itself carried absolute certainty. The council ordered full-spectrum scans. Energy readings surged across the displays, then spiked so violently that several systems failed. Sparks showered down from the panels. Technicians cried out. The ship's core output could not be measured. The numbers went beyond known limits. Silence returned. What is this? Whispered a councillor with skin like molten metal. No empire has such technology. Not even the oldest among us. The projection zoomed closer. Strange symbols flickered across the Vanguard's hull. Not alien runes, not mathematics. They were human words, painted with bold strokes, stand or fall. The council chambers shook as another shockwave of energy erupted from the ship. Then the vessel blurred. One moment it was in orbit of Earth. The next moment the scanners went blank. The UNS Vanguard had vanished completely. Cries of alarm spread through the chamber. Councillors slammed their claws and limbs against the tables. Where is it? What did they do? Find that ship! Technicians frantically searched, but every sensor in the sector showed nothing. It was as if the ship had stepped out of reality itself. The chamber, so loud a moment ago, fell into an eerie quiet. The councillors stared at the blank screen. For the first time in living memory, they had no answers. The silver-horned speaker tried to recover the mood. Perhaps they fled. Perhaps their craft collapsed under its own weight, but no one believed him. The fear was real. One ship had vanished before their eyes, and none of their science could explain how. A low chime sounded in the chamber. a new signal appeared. It was not from their fleets, not from their allies. It came from deep space, outside all known lanes. The signal was clear, simple, and strong. The message was a human voice. Calm, steady, without fear. "We are coming!" The screen went dark. The councillors froze. No one spoke. Every empire knew one truth. They had braced for an armada. Instead, Earth had sent only one. The fleets of the galaxy gathered in silence. Thousands of alien ships hung in formation near the border of human space. War drums pounded through comms. Soldiers gripped their weapons. Generals barked orders. Everyone waited for the humans to appear. At first there was nothing. The void was empty, calm, quiet. Then the alarms began. Contact. Unknown signature. Middle of the formation. Every alien screen lit up red. Sensors screamed warnings. An object had materialized without crossing the borders, without jumping through any known gates. It had simply appeared, right in the center of their fleet. The soldiers turned their eyes to the void outside their viewports. There it was. A colossal black warship drifted silently between their lines. The UNS Vanguard. Its size dwarfed the surrounding dreadnoughts. Its hull seemed to swallow starlight, broken only by glowing white lines pulsing slowly across its surface. It made no sound. It broadcast no signal. It simply glided forward like a predator among prey. Alien captains shouted in panic.
"Shields up!"
"Target it now!" Beams of energy locked onto the human vessel, but the ship did not react. It moved without fear, without urgency, like a ghost. A nervous alien officer turned to his commander. "Admiral, the ship has no escort. No support craft, nothing. It should be easy prey." But the admiral did not speak. He only stared at the dark vessel, as if it was staring back. The silence broke when the humans finally spoke. Across every ship, in every language at once, a voice filled the air. Calm, cold, absolute. "Stand down now." The message repeated only once, then faded. No threats, no demands, just those 3 words. The alien fleets wavered. Some captains wanted to retreat. Others shouted for attack. The Council had promised that humanity's arrogance would be crushed. Pride demanded blood. The first shot came from an alien destroyer. A spear of plasma ripped across the void and struck the side of the UNS Vanguard. The hit was perfect, but the human ship did not shake, did not burn, did not even raise shields. The blast vanished as if absorbed into the hull itself. Gasps filled the alien bridges. Soldiers gripped their chairs. What was this vessel made of? The human ship remained still. Then, without warning, it fired. One pulse of white light erupted from the front of the Vanguard. It was not a beam, not a missile, not plasma. It was something no alien mind could explain. The light struck an alien dreadnought. For a heartbeat, the ship glowed, and then it was gone. Not destroyed, not shattered, gone. The space it had occupied was empty. Not even wreckage remained. Panic spread instantly. Alien crews shouted in terror. Captains screamed orders to flee. But the fleets were locked in formation, too close to move. The UNS Vanguard drifted through their ranks like a phantom, untouched, unstoppable. Admirals demanded analysis. Scanners searched wildly, but no technology in the galaxy could understand what had just happened. The dreadnought had not been broken apart. It had been erased. One alien general slammed his fist against the table. "It is a trick, a hologram, a weapon with limited range." But even as he spoke, more alien ships vanished one by one, each time struck by the strange pulse of light. Silence followed each erasure, as if the galaxy itself refused to speak of what it had seen. The alien soldiers began to lose faith. For the first time, they saw their proud fleets not as conquerors, but as prey. Inside the UNS Vanguard, human soldiers stood at their stations, faces lit by the white glow of the weapon. They did not cheer. They did not laugh. They remained silent. They knew what their ship carried, and they knew it was not truly a weapon. It was something else, something beyond war. The alien council, watching from their distant chamber, leaned forward with fear in their eyes. Every empire had sent fleets. Every empire had promised victory. And yet, one human ship now tore through them without effort. "Stop it!" one counselor whispered, though no one could hear him. "Stop it before it reaches us." But the UNS Vanguard did not stop. It moved calmly, gliding deeper into enemy space. The alien admirals, pushed to the edge of panic, gave one final order. "All ships, converge. Fire everything. Sacrifice if needed. That ship must not survive." Thousands of warships turned their guns on the single black vessel. Plasma beams, rail slugs, particle cannons, entire skies lit with fire. The void became a storm. For a brief moment, the stars themselves were hidden behind walls of energy. When the storm ended, the human ship was still there, unharmed, silent, waiting. The UNS Vanguard pulsed with light again. Every alien commander felt the sudden terror of realization. The ship was not defending itself. It was only testing them. And now it was ready to strike for real. The storm of alien fire faded into silence. Thousands of weapons had struck the UNS Vanguard, enough to burn planets, enough to melt stars, but the human ship still floated in the void. Its black hull glowed faintly with white lines, alive with power no one understood. Alien fleets were stunned. Soldiers sat frozen at their stations, waiting for the impossible ship to break apart. But nothing happened. The Vanguard drifted forward, calm and steady, as if the storm had never touched it. Admirals shouted in panic, "Increase power! Reload all batteries!" Others screamed for retreat. Pride and fear clashed across the comms. The greatest armada of the galaxy had just unleashed its full might, and it had meant nothing. Then the human ship moved. The UNS Vanguard tilted its bow slightly. White light pulsed from its hull. The alien scanners surged again, filling with numbers no system could process. The energy rising from the human vessel was not like plasma or antimatter. It was something unrecorded, something beyond physics as the aliens knew it. "Admiral," one insectoid officer whispered with trembling antennae, "our readings say the ship is folding space." The alien general struck him across the face. "Lies. Our science has limits. Humans are primitive. They cannot know such power." But deep inside, even he felt the truth. This was no weapon the Council had seen before. The Vanguard's pulse stretched outward. Alien dreadnoughts began to twist. First their lights flickered. Then their hulls bent at strange angles, as if pulled by invisible hands. Crew members screamed as their ships folded against themselves, breaking apart without explosions, collapsing like paper crushed in a fist. In moments, whole squadrons were gone, not destroyed in fire, not shattered by impact, simply erased from the battlefield, swallowed by the unseen weapon. Panic spread. Fleets broke formation. Captains abandoned command. Armadas that had ruled the stars for centuries now scattered like frightened prey, but the humans did not chase. The Vanguard moved slowly, carefully, almost deliberately. Each action felt precise, measured, controlled. It was as if the ship itself was holding back, waiting for something. From the council chamber, the alien leaders watched in dread. Their faces reflected the white glow of the Vanguard's pulses. None spoke, none mocked. For the first time, the Council of Empires felt what it was like to be powerless. At last, one counselor broke the silence. Her crystal body shook with fear. "This is not technology. This is not war. What have the humans unleashed?" No answer came. The human vessel refused to reveal its secret, but inside the Vanguard, human soldiers knew the truth. The ship was more than steel. Its core was built from something no alien could ever imagine. An engine that did not just bend space but consumed it, rewriting the battlefield with every strike. They called it the Forge. The Forge had been created after the first alien scouts entered human space decades earlier. Earth had seen the threat, had known it could never match alien numbers. So humanity built something different, something terrifying, something that changed the very rules of combat. But the Forge came with a price. Every time the weapon pulsed, human crew felt the weight of it. Blood trickled from their noses. Muscles shook. Their ship did not burn from alien fire, but it drained its crew with every action. Humanity had chosen sacrifice over weakness. Back in the void, alien admirals prepared their last attempt. One commander, scarred from countless wars, refused to run. He opened his channels to the entire Armada. My brothers and sisters, we cannot allow this ship to reach our worlds. We cannot allow it to stand as a symbol of fear. I will lead the charge. Even if it costs every ship we have, we will capture it. Across the fleet, battered soldiers listened. Some answered with cheers, others with silence. But pride still lived in their hearts. They could not let humanity stand unchallenged. The admiral raised his clawed hand. All fleets converge. Surround the human vessel. Prepare to board. Thousands of alien ships shifted course, moving as one. They surrounded the UNS Vanguard from every angle, forming a wall of steel and fire. For the first time since the battle began, the human ship stood still, trapped in a cage of fleets. Inside the alien flagship, soldiers readied their weapons. Boarding pods locked into place. The plan was simple. Overwhelm the humans with numbers, storm the vessel, and end the threat before it reached the heart of the galaxy. But as the alien soldiers prepared to launch, something strange happened. The white lines across the Vanguard's hull flared brighter than ever before. Not a pulse this time, not a weapon strike. The entire ship began to glow like a star. The void filled with blinding light. Alien soldiers screamed in terror. Admiral shouted orders, but the light swallowed every word. And then, in a voice carried across every comm, every screen, every mind, the humans spoke again. You should have stood down. The Vanguard's hull split open, revealing its core. The forge roared to life, brighter than a sun, ready to show the galaxy what humanity had truly built. The void burned with white light. The UNS Vanguard glowed like a newborn star, its hull alive with streams of energy. Alien fleets reeled back, shielding their eyes, sensors crying out in alarm. For a moment, the battlefield fell silent. No one moved. No one dared. Then came the order, charge. The alien admiral who had sworn sacrifice now roared across all comms. His scarred face filled the screens of thousands of ships. If this vessel is allowed to live, our empires will fall. Better to burn now than watch our worlds kneel. Forward every ship. For the Council! 500 alien warships surged at once. Dreadnoughts, cruisers, destroyers, all engines flared, weapons primed. They formed a great wall of fire, rushing to smother the human vessel in sheer numbers. Inside the Vanguard, human soldiers felt the ship tremble as alarms filled their stations. The forge pulsed at the center of the vessel, demanding more power. The crew strapped themselves in, sweat running down their faces, their bodies heavy under the strain. They knew the truth. Their ship could hold, but it would feed on them to do it. The captain stood at the command deck, his voice steady. We cannot run. We cannot hide. Prepare to engage. Humanity stands here. The first wave hit. Alien cannons spat fire. Beams of plasma carved across the void. Missiles streaked like burning stars. The sky became a storm of death. The Vanguard disappeared in the sea of weapons. Alien soldiers cheered. We have it. The human ship is finished. But their cheers froze in their throats. The storm cleared and the black vessel still floated there, untouched. Its white veins glowed brighter. Then the Vanguard moved. Not fast, not in panic, but with terrifying calm. It slid through space, as if time itself bent around it. Alien missiles veered off course. Plasma blasts curved away. Even gravity seemed to fold in strange ways around the ship. Inside alien bridges, soldiers screamed as their targeting systems turned against them. One dreadnought fired a broadside volley into its own escort fleet. Another cruiser's engines reversed without command, dragging it into a collision. The admiral cursed. Do not break formation! Push forward! But it was too late. The Vanguard pulsed, and entire squadrons folded in on themselves. Ships twisted like broken metal, crushing into fragments before vanishing into nothing. Each strike was silent, each erasure clean, as if the galaxy itself obeyed the human ship. The aliens fought with desperation. Boarding pods launched, racing toward the human hull. They burned bright against the black surface, drilling to attach. Inside the Vanguard, alarms rang. Multiple pods incoming. Prepare for breach. Human soldiers rushed to the armory, rifles in hand, armor locking into place. Their faces were pale, but their eyes were steady. They knew what was at stake. Humanity had only one ship here, and Earth was watching. The first pod struck. Metal screeched. Alien soldiers poured in, their weapons glowing, their war cries echoing. The humans met them in the corridors with brutal fire. Bullets and beams tore through the halls. Screams echoed through steel. Humanity bled, but they did not give ground. The forge pulsed again. The ship's gravity twisted. Alien intruders staggered, their bodies dragged against walls and ceilings, torn apart by crushing pressure. Human soldiers stood firm, bracing themselves against the storm. The aliens outside saw their boarding pods ripped away, crushed like insects under an unseen hand. Still, they pressed forward. Still, the Admiral roared for sacrifice. Die if you must. Surround it. Break it open! The fleet obeyed. They surged from every angle, weapons blazing, willing to burn themselves to ash, if it meant stopping the human ship. On the bridge of the Vanguard, the captain gripped the railing. His vision blurred, blood dripping from his nose. He felt the forge digging deeper into him, into his crew, drawing strength from their very lives. Hold, he whispered. We will not fall! The white veins across the Vanguard's hull blazed like fire. The ship turned slowly, deliberately, its bow facing the heart of the alien fleet. Alien admirals screamed. Stop it, all ships, fire! 500 warships unleashed everything at once. The void cracked with light, with sound, with fury. And through it all, the UNS Vanguard advanced, silent, unstoppable. As the battle reached its peak, alien generals finally saw the impossible. Their own ships, their proud fleets, their mighty weapons, turning against them. The Vanguard had taken control, and now 500 alien warships began to aim at each other. The battle was chaos. 500 alien ships had charged, but now half of them turned their guns on each other. Crews screamed as their own weapons obeyed commands they had not given. Bridges filled with fire. As fleets tore themselves apart, at the center of it all, the UNS Vanguard moved with calm certainty. Its black hull glowed with white veins of power, and its core pulsed like a living heart. Every pulse bent reality. Every breath of the ship twisted the battlefield. Alien commanders shouted across the void. Cut the links! Shut down the systems! But it was useless. The Vanguard had seized control of their fleets. Their proud armada was no longer theirs. And then the comms fell silent. A new signal cut through every channel at once. It bypassed every encryption, every firewall, every locked gate. The alien fleets froze as their screens flickered. The council chambers across the galaxy shook as the same message forced its way in. It was not alien. It was human. A calm voice spoke, deep and steady, echoing across the stars. We warned you. The words struck harder than any weapon. Alien leaders leaned forward in shock. The voice carried no anger, no fear, only certainty. On the screens, images replaced the battlefield. Oceans rolling under sunlight, mountains rising through clouds, cities glowing in the night, soldiers marching in silence, their faces set with steel. The images of Earth filled every hall, every ship, every mind. This is who we are, the voice continued. We asked for peace. We asked for time. You answered with fleets and fire. You believed humanity was weak. You believed numbers would break us. You were wrong. The alien council sat in silence, their faces pale with fear. The insectoid warlord, who once mocked Earth, now gripped his throne with trembling claws. The crystal-bodied counselor bowed her head, unable to meet the gaze of the human images. The voice of Earth grew sharper. You wish to know what powers our ship. You will not understand, because it is not power, it is will. It is the will of every human who swore never again to bow. It is the will of every child who looks to the sky and calls it home. It is the will of a species that will not be broken. The alien fleets trembled. Many soldiers dropped their weapons. Others whispered prayers. For the first time, they felt what humanity had carried for centuries, the burning fire of survival. The signal reached deep into the council chamber. The silver-horned speaker, who had once promised Earth's destruction, slammed his fist on the table. Enough of this. End the transmission. But his command meant nothing. The human message could not be blocked. The images kept playing. The voice kept speaking. we do not seek to rule your worlds. We do not seek to enslave your kind. But if you bring war to Earth, if you come for our people, we will end you. And the stars will remember what became of those who tried." The words fell like hammers. The chamber fell silent. Then the signal cut. The screens went black. Only the echo of the voice remained in the ears of the counselors. For a long moment no one spoke. The silence was heavier than any roar of battle. Finally, one counselor whispered, "If one ship can do this, what if they have more?" The question spread like fire through the chamber. The thought was unthinkable. Could Earth have built a fleet of these impossible vessels? Could there be dozens waiting behind the Vanguard? Hundreds? The counselors looked at each other with wide eyes. On the battlefield, alien admirals tried to regroup, but their fleets were shattered. Ships drifted, broken and burning. Soldiers refused orders. Fear spread faster than fire. The proud coalition that had promised to crush humanity was now on its knees. The alien emperor of a vast star cluster slammed his staff against the floor. His voice was filled with fury and fear. "We cannot let them reach the galactic core. If Earth's ship stands there, no empire will ever challenge them again. We must strike now with everything we have." Whispers filled the chamber. Forbidden weapons, ancient arsenals, secrets never meant to be used. The leaders looked at each other, their fear twisting into desperation, and then one of them spoke the words none had dared to say. "The planet killer!" The chamber froze. Even the fiercest warriors fell silent. The weapon was legend. A cannon the size of a moon, designed to fire across the stars and shatter worlds. It had been locked away for centuries, too dangerous even for war. But now desperation broke all restraint. The Emperor's voice was iron. "Prepare the weapon. Target Earth itself." In the shadows of space, the moon-sized cannon stirred to life. Its core glowed, ancient machinery waking from centuries of silence. And its target was already locked, Earth. In the shadows of space, the moon-sized cannon stirred to life. Its core glowed, ancient machinery waking from centuries of silence. And its target was already locked, Earth. The galaxy was not quiet after the human broadcast. It was trembling. Entire empires whispered of Earth's ship, the UNS Vanguard, that had broken fleets without firing a single broadside. Stories spread like wildfire, some true, some twisted. To many, humanity had become a ghost in the dark, a force too dangerous to fight. But fear does not always bring peace. Sometimes it brings desperation. In the grand chamber of the Galactic Council, leaders argued in shouts. The insectoid warlord hissed, "If we do nothing, Earth will rule the stars with one ship. What happens if they build 10, 100? Do you want to see your worlds bow?" The silver-horned speaker slammed the table. "We strike now, all together, all at once." And so the order was given. Every empire called their fleets. Old grudges were set aside. Rivals became allies. 10,000 ships rose from 10,000 worlds, united by fear of one planet. They called it the Unbreakable Wall, the largest armada the galaxy had ever seen. The fleet stretched across space like a storm. Colossal carriers, fortress ships the size of moons, entire squadrons of battleships armed with weapons that could crack planets. Their engines lit up the void like a burning sunrise. At the front of the vast formation drifted something older and more terrible, the planet killer. A cannon built around a hollow moon, its barrel lined with ancient runes and lost technology. For centuries it had been locked away. Now its core burned with deadly light. Its target was clear, Earth. The alien admirals were certain this time. One ship cannot face this. Even their Vanguard must fall before 10,000. This will end humanity. But they forgot one thing. Humans never played by the rules. Out beyond Neptune, the UNS Vanguard waited, silent and still. The ship's crew stood ready, their eyes fixed on the tactical displays. Lieutenant Mara whispered, 10,000 ships. "Sir, this isn't a battle. This is suicide." Captain Reyes's voice was steady. "Only if we fight by their terms. And we never will." The Vanguard's engines flared. It moved forward alone, one shadow against a burning storm of fleets. The alien commanders laughed across their comms. They send one ship again? Do they mock us? But laughter turned to silence when the Vanguard began to split the void. Space twisted around its hull, folding, bending. One moment it was a speck, the next it was among them. A battleship turned its guns, but before it could fire, its cannons melted into slag. Another ship lost control of its engines and spun helplessly into its ally, tearing both apart. It was happening again. The Vanguard reached into their systems, rewriting their machines, bending their fleets against them. But this time, the alien coalition was prepared. A surge of counter-signal erupted from the unbreakable wall. Thousands of ships poured power into one defense, an unbreakable firewall, a wall of code and machine that even the Vanguard could not penetrate. The human ship struck at their systems and failed. The alien admirals roared in triumph. "You are not gods, humans. You cannot touch us now." For the first time, the Vanguard stood without its weapon of control. It would have to fight the old way. Steel against steel, gun against gun, and then the planet killer moved. The hollow moon shifted, its barrel glowing brighter. The stars dimmed as it pulled in power from the void itself. A weapon designed to shatter entire worlds, now aimed at the blue planet that had dared to rise, Earth. Across the Vanguard's bridge, alarms screamed. The crew watched as the moon cannon locked onto their homeworld. Lieutenant Mara's voice broke. "Captain, if that fires, Earth is gone." Captain Reyes stood tall, his eyes locked on the impossible weapon. His voice was quiet, but it carried through the ship. "Then we move faster than death itself." The Vanguard's engines roared, tearing holes in space as it dove toward the cannon. 10,000 alien ships closed around it, unleashing storms of fire. Explosions rocked the void. Human shields cracked under the barrage. For the first time, the Vanguard bled, but it did not stop. It carved through enemy lines, ripping apart cruisers, tearing battleships in half with gravity arcs. Every alien loss only fueled their fury. The unbreakable wall held strong, pressing from all sides. The Vanguard pushed forward, but the enemy pressed harder. The cannon's core reached full charge. The stars flickered. Space warped. The power of a dying sun was about to be unleashed. Every screen, every sensor, every eye in the galaxy locked on the hollow moon. The planet killer was ready. The cannon fired. A beam of pure annihilation, bright enough to blind the stars, tore through the void, straight toward Earth. The void burned. From the hollow moon's cannon, a beam of white fire tore across the stars. It was not light. It was not plasma. It was annihilation itself, drawn from the bones of suns, sharpened into one endless spear. It screamed through space, locked on one target, Earth. On the Vanguard's bridge, the crew stared in silence. The screens showed it clearly. Their home, their oceans, their mountains, their people, all in the path of that weapon. Lieutenant Mara's breath caught in her throat. "Sir, if that beam hits, Earth is gone." Captain Reyes's jaw tightened. His eyes never left the glowing storm ahead. "Not while we still stand." The Vanguard's engines roared. The black ship hurled itself between the beam and the planet. Its shields flared, bright as a second sun, as the annihilation stream struck. The impact shook the ship to its core. Metal screamed, alarms blared, panels exploded across the bridge. The Vanguard held. For 1 second, 2, 3, then the shields cracked. The crew were thrown from their stations as the ship groaned under the impossible weight. Parts of the hull peeled away, drifting as molten shards. Still, the Vanguard held the line, placing its broken body between Earth and destruction. Across the galaxy, billions watched the broadcast. Alien leaders who once mocked humanity now stared in shock as one single ship stood against the weapon they had always feared to use. Even they whispered the same words. How can one ship do this? The beam did not end. It pressed harder, burning hotter, the hollow moon pouring everything into the strike. Shields at 9%. An officer shouted, 8, 7! The numbers fell like a death toll. On Earth, cities gathered on rooftops and hillsides, watching the sky. They could see the strange light above, a glow that should not exist. Some held hands, some wept, but none turned away. Humanity stared death in the face, and they did not bow. Reyes looked at his crew. Their faces were pale, but their eyes were steady. Not one moved to abandon ship. Not one asked for retreat. They knew what they were. The captain's voice cut through the chaos. This is what it means to be human. We don't run. We don't kneel. We stand. The Vanguard's core pulsed once, twice, faster, brighter. The white veins along its hull spread until the entire ship glowed. Power surged, not from its engines, not from its weapons, but from something deeper. The will of its crew, the will of its people. The alien admirals saw it and froze. What are they doing? That energy, it's impossible. The Vanguard shifted, forcing itself deeper into the beam, swallowing the impossible fire into its heart. Its hull cracked open, spilling light across the stars, and then the ship spoke. A voice, the same one that had echoed before, filled every channel. Calm, unshaken, you wished to see Earth's end. Instead you will see Earth's fire. The ship unleashed it. The Vanguard turned the annihilation back. The beam that was meant for Earth split in two, bending around the ship and hurling into the alien fleets that had fired it. Battleships melted like wax. Carriers broke apart in silence. Entire formations vanished in the white blaze. Alien soldiers screamed across comms as their unbreakable wall cracked in a single stroke. But the price was heavy. The Vanguard's hull was tearing itself apart. Systems overloaded, shields gone, engines failing. The ship burned like a star, every circuit bleeding light. On the bridge, sparks showered. Smoke filled the air, yet Reyes still stood gripping the rail. His voice was steady, even as the ship shuddered. We hold until the end. Lieutenant Mara, blood streaking her face, smiled through the chaos. Then let's make the end count. The beam faded. The void was filled with wreckage, thousands of alien ships burning. But the hollow moon cannon still lived. Its core flickered, unstable but alive. It was charging again. Reyes knew the truth. The Vanguard had no more shields, no more tricks. If the cannon fired again, Earth was lost. He placed his hand on the console. Helm, set course. Straight for the cannon. The crew stared. They knew what he meant. A collision, a sacrifice. One ship against a moon, not one refused. The engines lit one last time. The Vanguard, broken and bleeding, hurled itself toward the planet killer. Alien fleets scrambled to stop it. Thousands of ships moved to intercept. But even shattered, even dying, the Vanguard cut through them like a blade. Closer, closer. The hollow moon loomed large, its core pulsing with deadly light. On the bridge, alarms blared their final warning. The cannon reached full charge once more. Captain Reyes stood tall, his eyes on the enemy. Earth stands, he whispered. The Vanguard plunged into the glow just as the cannon fired. The void shook as two fires collided. The hollow moon's cannon unleashed its second beam of annihilation, hotter, brighter, stronger than the first. At the same time, the UNS Vanguard, burning like a star, hurled itself straight into the weapon's heart. For a heartbeat, the galaxy held its breath. The unstoppable beam met the unbreakable will of one ship, and then the universe roared. The impact ripped space wide open. The cannon's core collapsed, its ancient power folding in on itself. Light spilled across the stars, brighter than 1,000 suns. Alien fleets scattered, their formations shattered by the shockwave. Worlds on distant horizons looked up and saw the sky blaze white. The hollow moon was gone. In its place spun fragments, broken stone and molten fire drifting in silence. The weapon that could end planets had been destroyed, but so had the Vanguard. The proud black ship was gone from the stars. No wreckage, no signal, only silence where it had stood. On Earth the light faded. Oceans still rolled. Mountains still stood. Cities still shone under the night sky. Billions of humans wept, laughed, shouted, and prayed. They were alive. Their world still lived. Across the galaxy, silence reigned. The alien council sat frozen, their faces pale and hollow. The insectoid warlord who once hissed for Earth's destruction lowered his claws, trembling. The silver-horned speaker who mocked humanity now whispered, "One ship. One ship destroyed 10,000. One ship shattered the unbreakable wall. The truth could not be denied." Empires had thrown everything at Earth, their fleets, their alliances, their forbidden weapon. And still, humanity stood. For the first time in living memory, the Council felt not pride, not rage, but fear, because they understood now. If Earth could do this with one ship, what could they do with more? And then came the voice. From the silence, across every screen and every comm, the same steady voice returned. The voice of Earth, calm, certain, eternal. "You came for us. You tried to end us. But humanity still stands. We are not conquerors. We are not rulers. We are survivors. And we will never kneel." The words echoed across the stars. Every soldier, every citizen, every leader felt them. The message was clear: Earth would not seek war. But if war came, no empire, no armada, no weapon would ever break them. The alien fleets withdrew in silence. Carriers turned. Battleships fled. The greatest coalition in galactic history dissolved in fear and shame. Empires that once roared now whispered, their pride shattered. In hidden chambers, some vowed never again to cross Earth. Others swore to watch, to wait, to prepare for the day when humanity rose higher still, and on Earth itself, the people looked to the sky with pride and sorrow. They had been saved, but at a cost. The Vanguard, their guardian, their blade in the dark, was gone, or so it seemed. Weeks later, in the shadow of Saturn, a signal pulsed faintly. Broken, weak, but human. A fragment of a hull drifted in silence, glowing with dim white veins. The Vanguard was not gone. It had survived the impossible once more. Captain Reyes's voice crackled through the broken comms, faint but steady. "Earth stands, and so do we." The signal spread, and with it hope. Humanity's ship had endured, just as humanity always had. The galaxy listened in silence. Empires shattered before them, but Earth remained, and this was only the beginning.